All right, here we go, 2022 Street Glide Special. I'm gonna tell you everything you need to know about this bike. I'm gonna highlight some of the biggest differences, things that they've changed over the years on the bike, and just give you my overall opinion now on the Street Glide Special that it has some of these things. So I had a 2019 Street Glide Special, but a lot of the things that they've changed, I really was hoping for in that motorcycle. So looking forward to it. This is obviously a used motorcycle, and this is all big thanks to American Biker here in Lansing, South Carolina, for letting me come out and take a look at this bike. This thing has 2,500 miles, by the way, so it is essentially brand new. So big thanks to those guys, man. If you need a used Harley, a new Indian, come talk to Rob at American Biker. Again, big thanks to those guys for letting me take this beauty out here and tell you the pros and cons. The Street Glide Special has gotten a lot better. Let's go over some of the biggest things that they've changed since I had my 2019 Street Glide Special, and I finally have a chance to put my hands on a really new one. This is a 2022 Street Glide Special. I'm going to tell you all the details of this motorcycle, the things they've changed, what's made it better, and why this may be the best Street Glide Special they've ever made. So let's talk about some of the things that have stayed the same. Of course, the inner fairing. You have the 6.5-inch boombox GTS system. You have the streamlined series that they put on the floorboards and on the brake pad. All that stuff is pretty much the same. They actually took the heel shifter off, which I'm a little bit sad about. We may talk about that here in a little bit. You do have the Brembo brakes. This is a linked Brembo brake setup, and the fenders are the same, right? You know, the body lines are pretty much the same. Everything else, they've really done a good job in changing the way the bike looks to make it seem like it's something new and different. They changed this console here, which looks incredible. You now have a flush mounted fuel cap instead of the fuel door up here. If you'll remember, I talked about my Street Glide Special. The thing would always stick. It had like a little plastic tab where it closed, and so basically you had two finger it, if you will. You basically push it down, and then with your index finger or middle finger you would just kind of slightly pull up. This is a much cleaner look. Same 6-gallon tank. Of course, they've changed the badge on this bike as well, though. I personally like just the outline of the bar and shield, but still that looks really clean, looks really premium to me. We also now have RDRS, so that's what our little traction control button will do. So they started this in 2019 with the CVOs and the trike models. Then 2020 they introduced it in the touring models, and it's still an option. It's like $1,000, maybe $1,100 now, but that gives you quite a few things. Cornering traction control, it's going to give you cornering drag torque control, hill hold, a number of safety features that are not necessarily a bad thing, right? And so that coupled with the slipper clutch, right, just in case things get a little bit out of hand, I am not opposed at all to having these little things that could potentially save your butt. And then of course you get ABS, and you also have TPMS sensors, which is crazy, right? We're talking about TPMS sensors in 2022. That RDRS actually gives you that. This is something I was hoping they would do for a long time, is put TPMS sensors on their bikes just standard. But with that package, and again, it's $1,100, I think it's definitely an investment worth doing for sure. Another thing you have on this new model that I am a little bit jealous of are those Prodigy wheels. They look incredible. One of the best wheels I think they've ever put on a Harley Davidson. And like I said, I'm a little jealous they're not on mine. My friends at Harley finally put an LED on this motorcycle. Now again, this was a change they did in 2020 or 2021, I think, where they finally gave you a daymaker up front. And again, this is something that I'm just like, come on, man, you got to put this on the bike. Of course, you could put custom dynamics, you know, and I love those guys. But at the same time, a brand new motorcycle at nearly $30,000 should have an LED, and we finally have one here. But you won't be disappointed if you were looking for halogens, because you do still get the turn signals that are halogens on the front of the bike. Now, of course, we have the new CVO Street Glide. That's one I really am anxious to get my hands on, and of course, a lot has changed with that bike. But when it comes to the world of pre-VVT street glides and the new updated fairing and all of that kind of stuff, aesthetically this just looks incredible. And one thing that they've done to me that I think is probably the ultimate paint scheme is this white sand pearl. This, coupled with the blacked out everything, is cream of the crop. I mean, they have a lot of cool two-tone colors that they did this year. And this is it. To me, this is just like better than the red, better than gray, better than any other color they've done. I really like this. I think the first one I actually ever saw was at Myrtle Beach Bike Week, and I didn't have a chance to ride it then, but we're gonna be able to ride this one for sure. Another small change, but it actually makes a pretty big difference, and I wasn't sure if I would like it or not, but I think it's growing on me, are the low profile crash bars. So you'll remember on like my 2019, the 2020s, they had the big crash bars. They basically came from like here and rounded like that. These new ones are cool. Not only do they look better, but then you can also add that fairing kit that goes all the way down to the cooler. That's something you can only do once you replace it with the low profile crash bars. So straight from the factory, you can go ahead and do that. Now the previous owner, he put the curved license plate mount, he put the shorty antenna, Vance and Hines. These are the Torker 450s, sound pretty good. I'll let you hear those on the road. And then we have the Saddleman seat. This is gonna raise it a little bit. So straight from the factory, it's like 26 inches laden, and then 827 pounds. So with this extra height in the seat, and it pushes you back, I think 2 inches. At 5'7", I'm not flat footing this motorcycle. This is a really nice seat though, man. I know Saddleman makes good stuff, and this one right here is super premium. It's got like a gel insert or something, and it's got an extra wide pillion seat there for your passenger. Nice lumbar support there. So looks really good. They also added the ventilator, air cleaner there, the open ventilator. So again, it's just like these small changes that they've made to give you what, in my opinion, is the best looking Street Glide Special. How does it ride though? The previous owner also did the bars here. I don't know what kind of bars these are, but it's a pretty popular setup to do on the Street Glide. So I'm gonna go ahead and start this thing up. We're gonna talk about how it rides, what the power's like, handlebars, seating position, all that kind of stuff, so I can get a better idea. Not only is this the best looking Harley, but how does it ride compared especially to like your Road Glide and really a standard Street Glide Special. Let me go ahead and get my helmet on. Now let me talk about the seating position. It's changed a little bit because of some of the changes the previous owner made. That being the Saddleman seat, obviously the bars. But I can tell you, compared to a stock motorcycle, this is really a heck of a lot better than the stock bike. Now, this seat with the lumbar support, it's got like that gel insert, feels really good. These bars feel really good. I kind of, you know, if I were to get this, they would have to come back a little bit. That's why I talk about the spearhead bars, because they're so good. You can rotate them, you can move them back in the riser. So I really like those bars a lot. The height on these is really nice. So you'll notice, like with a standard Street Glide, I'll pull up the one I used to have. Your arms are kind of down here. My arms are totally in line with my shoulders. And I could probably go down an inch and it would be even better, but this feels really natural to me. As you can see, front floorboards, right? Got our streamline setup, which comes straight from the factory. Doesn't look bad at all. Highway pegs out there. This is a little bit taller rider, obviously. As you can see, I can flat foot on one side, not the other. So it's not really a problem doing stuff like this. Even backing up when you're on concrete, it mainly becomes an issue when you're trying to back up on rock, or if there's a slight incline, stuff like that. That's where I would have to get some kind of different seat, even though I really like this one. It pushes you back a couple inches too. Now this is the same 6.5 boom GTS. You don't get a lot of sound. If you're under, I would say 45 miles per hour roughly, then it's going to be adequate. Your passenger isn't going to be able to hear much of anything past, 40 miles an hour. And this still doesn't have Apple CarPlay, which, you still got to get the WIM module even in a 2022. That's kind of disappointing. I tried to hook up to it to see, and it still didn't come up with CarPlay, so I kind of hate that. This one does have the RDRS, which I'm a huge fan of, dude. I'm glad that they started putting this on here. Obviously, if you see that little TC, that means that your bike actually has it. We can rotate through our back button here. Some options. We have our TPMS sensors here, of course, too. So, you know, the rear was 44, the front was what, 37? So there we go. We, of course, have our gauges, fuel, speedometer, tachometer, and battery voltage. I'm curious if Harley at some point is going to make it to where when you pull in the clutch, you can still see what gear you're in. This one does not have it still to this day. I don't know if the new ones have it. I haven't had a chance to get my hands on one of the new CVOs. And finding neutral is still a little bit of a game. All blacked out. Looks like he put some of these black magnetic caps on here. Those might be the Cero ones, I'm not sure. He put the axle cover nuts on here. He did a lot of small changes. The handlebars, those little covers. The pipes are Vance and Hines. Just some small stuff. Now, one thing I'm unsure of, you guys can let me know. Is this the factory option? I know it comes on the factory on the side of the tank now, but I think the one from the factory is just a twist knob, and you just easily replace this by pulling the old one out, putting a flush one in. I think this one's aftermarket, but essentially you push down, you rotate quarter a turn, boom, it pops up, and you flip it back to close it. Keyless ignition. Of course, if you want to lock your bags, you still have to get down there with your little barrel key. Oh, there we go. There's a little barrel key right there. We got our cruise control. We, of course, can operate some things from this right here. We got our push to talk. That's assuming that you have the WIM module with that connectivity. You got your blanks right here if you want to put your auxiliary lamps, which is a that's something that I would definitely do. That's something I did on my 19 Special, and just makes a huge difference, giving you a lot more light. He put the Clockworks windshield on here. I love the way Clockworks look, but from my experience, they just give this kind of weird like ripple effect. So when I'm looking at this Toyota right in front of me, if I move my head down just a little bit, Highlander is like all, you know, wavy and wonked out. I just like to have a more clear sight through the windshield than what this Clockworks does. Like I said, I really love the functionality of it, which I'm sure I'll be able to tell some of that on the road here or on the interstate. I just hate looking through it, you know. Now I can see right over the top of it, but if you want to see anything right out in front of you, you know, that's where I have the biggest issue with this thing. I think I like these handlebars better than the Street Glide we did last year versus my Road Glide. I want to say they were almost the same style. I just feel like I can reach these a little bit better. Open road, brother. Yeah, I feel like that windshield does do a little bit better job than the stock one on the 2019. Helps to push some of that air up and over your head. Now, it's not going to do as good of a job as, you know, something like the tall windshield on like your Limiteds and Ultras, but it still does do a little bit better job on the interstate. You know, I'm in 4th gear right now. Let's go up to 5th. I get a little bit of buffeting with that fairing, and that's just a Street Glide thing, man. It doesn't cut as good through the wind as your Challengers and Road Glides, but still, this is something that is super manageable if you want to do longer trips. I mean, I'm going 80, and it is smooth as butter. I got a lot of compliments on that 19 Special, man, as far as the way it looked. I love the way it looked. That gray denim and black just looked incredible, but this right here, this to me is the way to go. As far as the color combo, yeah, this is amongst one of the best I've seen. And I'm not typically a fan of white, but this one I really like a lot. I feel back at home on this thing. It is incredible though when you take one of these bikes, and if you can, let's say you're looking at this, you're looking at a road glide, try to get them on the interstate, even if it's just a couple of miles like what I did. You will see such a big difference. Another big difference you'll notice with the Harley specifically is that 827 pounds, getting it off the kickstand is noticeable. But one thing it does do for you is really makes a steady bike. Again, you have the fairing, it's not gonna be able to divert the wind as good as a road glide, but overall it really is a stable machine. And that 114, they've pretty much perfected this thing at this point. 119 foot-pounds, 100 horsepower. It ain't gonna, you know, beat a freaking Busa in a straight line by any means. You know, it's not gonna gap very many bikes, but it gives you a ton of torque and getting you up to speed quick. Now, one thing on the Street Glide you got to remember, you do not have much storage space at all. This is it right here. So on the Road Glide, you get two little compartments over here. It's not a lot, but it's more than what you get on this. You got more of a flat appearance here, so you're going to be stretching out. When I say stretching out, it's more of a stretch than like a Road Glide or a Challenger, okay? More of a flush appearance there. Definitely much better with that breather on that side too. It's in a much better position than the one I had, which wasn't the open ventilator type. You know, it just had the cover and then it opened in the front. So you're gonna get better airflow out of this one, and it's a little bit more flush to the side of the engine. Yeah, they've made some significant changes. I kind of know where I'm at with it. So we're gonna finish the rest of this little bit of a trip here, tell you the pros and cons, and see if this is the ultimate Street Glide so far. That's a little bit of a kick there to the kickstand. One thing I did want to mention, there's the Vance & Hines from the back. They don't sound too bad. They're just slip-ons though. I think I like the Reinhardt's a little bit better for sure. The minor details like I've talked about, the new badging, the ventilator, really like that stuff. I definitely appreciate this new updated light. Prodigy wheels, incredible. The new engine guard, I like that. And again, I would put that lower fairing kit on there from Advan Black. When it comes to looks and everything this guy did, I can jive with it. I mean, he did it right. It's simple, it's clean. This white sand pearl, dude, Harley, freaking amazing. I changed these to Reinhardt's. That's just me. Of course, you know, that little stuff like that is good. This seat is super comfortable. This is something pretty much anybody that owns any motorcycle is going to change. And I want to say this is probably the second Saddlemen I've sat in. This one is really nice. I like it a lot. Floorboards, seating position, all of that. It looks like he did the black push rod covers too. From the factory, what you'll notice on these bikes is in and around town, you know, maybe even up to 100 miles, I don't know, it's fine. But then after a while of kind of being more down here with the stock bars, you start to feel it in between your shoulder blades. So spearhead bars, I've done a video on those, you can check it out, but that's something I definitely would do. The 114 is a monster. I love this engine. The 117 obviously gives you a little bit more, but you know, like I said, if you're trying to save money, you don't like the new body style, to me this is the ultimate Street Glide Special pre-VVT. There you go. Any other changes? Like I said, I do the lower fairings. I still hate that they're putting halogens on these bikes. I mean, it's still $25,000, $30,000 new. Essentially, it's what, $28,900 or $28,500 new. Like the center console, audio sucks on these bikes. Definitely have to change that. That's not exclusive to the Street Glide. Storage up here sucks. You're not going to get a lot of it. I don't think missing this this button right here has any effect whatsoever, because I always kept mine open too, like most people, I think. Removing the heel shifter sucks. Hate that decision. And I do like this new clutch too, by the way. Much easier on your hands. I didn't even talk about this on the road. I had heard they're going back to the hydraulic clutch. I hope that's not true, because this is much better. RDRS, fantastic. Yeah, this guy did the black latches too. Yeah, really nice. I like the specials. You're gonna get a little bit less road quality as far as the rear suspension, but you get the aesthetics. And when I look at this bike, I think it is definitely the best looking and ultimate Street Glide Special so far. That's my opinion, man. I'd love to hear yours down in the comments below. If you own this bike or you have one of these bikes, what are some of the changes that you make? What to you makes the ultimate Street Glide Special? Is the new one something you're looking at doing, or would you rather have one of the old models? Love to hear your opinions. If you like this video, maybe you'll like one of these other ones I've done so far. Big thanks to you guys. See you in the next one. And as always, hold them down.